Alright, welcome back to another NovNov technical project. Today I am going to try and fix what we broke yesterday. I am too impatient for Docker sometimes, but I also remembered why it wasn't working like I expected it to. This isn't my usual Kali Linux virtual machine. This is the one that I made with y'all. So there is a package that I regularly use. Let's make sure we got Git really quick. Yep. It is put out by DeWalt Arch. It's called Pimp My Kali. So if we git clone github.com DeWalt Arch Pimp My Kali. See if that works. It will give us a bunch of stuff. I'm going to go ahead and cat the README file really quick. That's too much. We're going to cat the top of it and not the whole thing. To cat just the top or to look at just the top, we can use head, just like tail, but it's the first lines. So this is going to be fixes for new and imported Linux virtual machines. So how you can run it is after doing the git clone, right? This command here, you will then cd into that directory, and then the thing we want to run is this script here. We also want to run it as root. So that's going to give us a big list here, and there are options, but we only need to go with the N for new VM, or at least that's what I do, and then Y for yes to confirm, and this will take some time to get through. It is going to update the virtual machine itself, or at least the paths to the packages, and then once that's done, it is going to remove and reinstall problem children from within this. Generally takes anywhere from like 2 to 10 minutes, depending on your internet connection and how much resources you gave to your virtual machine. I'm going to go ahead and stop talking at this point. I'm going to let it run through, and I'll come back when important things pop up. Alright, so here's one of the things that you'll want to look out for. You'll get these pop-ups in the top right as it is going. These are just saying that a restart is needed. You don't need to worry about it. It will happen. You can just click on those as they appear and they will go away. There are going to be like maybe 10 of them depending on what you're working with, because it kind of goes through each different section to grab them. But we still have a little bit left, so go ahead and give your VM a little bit of time. Pause the video if you need to, and I will holler at you guys when it says all done. Oh yeah, Hollywood hacking movie stretch to make it look like I did something. If you reach this message at the end, you are done. Thank you DeWalt for this. This sets you up for a lot of things, more than what we're going to use it for. It replaces and repairs a lot of tools, as well as installing some additional listing. But I'm going to go ahead and clear my screen, and I'm really quickly just going to shut down, space -R, space now to shut down right now. The R stands for restart, but this will just quickly take us down, bring us back up, because all those pop-ups, remember they said you needed to restart or relog in. So we'll just get that out of the way really quick, and then we'll see about getting Docker to work now. Something I realized yesterday after the video was that the Docker.io, if you grab it directly, it actually isn't good. That's a weird way to say that, but there's some known issues there. So using the pimp my Kali, you can fix Docker, but it also is something that Docker has docs on how to. Docker has docs? Docker has docs. I'm going insane. Let's go ahead and log back in after the restart. But it's also something that Docker has docs to help walk you through. If I know my own password, there we go. So now we should have Docker Compose and Docker IO installed and fixed, as well as things like containerd and other services that we'll need. Just really quick, always check, make sure it's running. If it's not running, really easy way to do that to get it set up is just systemctl enable --now Docker. And so what this does, after you correctly enter in your password, it enables Docker to run at start, and --now says, hey, do it now as well. So not just at start, but also currently. But it is running, so we should be good there. So kind of in a weird mirror of yesterday, I'm going to sudo su, or you do sudo space -I, do interactive mode to get up to root, and then I am going to docker pull brightsec BeeBox. Just to grab that latest. I am up to date, so let's go ahead and clear that out, and then docker run. I actually figured out the issue with the hello world thing. It's hello-world. And it gives you this message from Docker on how to get started and what to do. So to try something more ambitious, you can run an Ubuntu container with docker run it Ubuntu bash. So we're going to start out there. Going to have to pull it down because I don't have it locally, and that is okay. This won't take as long because it's just the things we need. And now we are root at that. If I do IPA, oh wait, I don't remember what. So that is how I can get in here. I can now run stuff. Hello. It'll say hello. Another way we can do that is we get an echo. Hello, and then it'll send it back up to us, but it's running in the Docker container. This is just doing a in the moment thing, but let's go ahead and docker run it brightsec BeeBox bash, and then I'll go ahead and give it a second to get running. Gonna fight the urge to click on things. We're just gonna give it the time that it needs. Alright, so let's go ahead and take a look at this a little bit deeper. Still getting caught up on the same spot. And I really had hoped that repairing Docker would fix this. Let's do docker ps. There we go, I know how to type. So let's go ahead and grab that, do that sudo docker ps again, print just that one, and then let's try and see if I can talk to it. Got a sudo on both sides unless you're root. Okay, so it is getting started up. It is stuck a little bit there, but let's see if we can get around that. Let's try and ping that IP address. 72.17.02. So it is up and running. Let's see if I can browse to it. It's supposed to have a web server. Maybe it's not running on port 80 or 443, but it's always worth checking. Hey, bWapp, we're up and running. So this time it did manage to get through. I'm just gonna have to leave this up the whole time because I didn't start it in the background. If you want to learn how to start things in the background, go ahead. There's an evil folder in here with a bunch of stuff. Stealsecret.js. It's a funny one. Go into the bWapp login, kind of see some of that stuff locally if you wanted to try. So it's bBug is the actual credentials. And then it will walk us through actually doing a bunch of injections. So like if you were to go down here and hack this into your credentials, let's see what lets us in. Or 1 equals 1. Not now. You have an error in your syntax, right? Check the manual that corresponds to your MySQL server version for the right syntax to use near or 1 equals 1, right? So it starts off with an apostrophe or 1 equals 1. So let's go ahead and try that again. Yeah, typing is hard. Correct, so we didn't get the credential, we didn't get it that time either. So this is kind of how, where you can learn some of these SQL injections. If I go ahead and go to the Create User tab, there's a form in here as well. And if you guys don't remember, you can always go back to the bugs. Maybe you want to learn about session management with cookies. You can try and hack that. Click the button to see your current cookies, and then browse to another page to see if cookies are protected, right? So this is all about playing around. Remember, this is locally on your Kali VM through that Docker container now. But since we have the Docker container, we can also just play with it directly. Let's go ahead and do a basic nmap scan. Port 21, 25, 80, and 443 is open. So not only do we have, excuse me, SMTP, so we got some relay stuff we can do there. There's also FTP, so let's go ahead and do a deeper scan on that specifically. Let's grab some service versioning. Pro FTPD. And so what we can do from here is we can search to see if we have any known vulnerabilities in that version. I'm just going to throw Metasploit in there to see what comes up. So we have a telnet, IAC buffer overflow, SQL injection protection bypass, mod SQL, exploiting 133C. Is that the right number? That looks. I have 131. Volmon. Look at all these vulnerabilities, right? I'm sure there's something you guys can exploit in here. BeeBox is great for that. So let's go ahead and go back here. I'm going to Control-C to attempt to close it down gracefully. It is now gone, so I'm going to exit, and that is all for today's NovNov project video, just getting a recovery from yesterday's impatient tomfoolery.